That's okay. Right. Okay. I will begin with the karakia. And because we're focusing, one of our foci for this meeting is the weaving plan, I'll use the karakia that uses weaving as its metaphor. The word firia is the word for weave the threads together, and the threads that bind us to the past, to each other, to the natural world, and to those who are following after us. That's the meaning. Whiria, whiria, whiria ngā aho, whiria ngā aho tangata. Ngā aho I whakawhenuahia e ngā mātua tūpuna. Ngā aho e hono nei I a tātou ki a rātou, tātou ki a tātou, tātou ki tō tātou pūtai au. Whiria ngā aho I pū mai I nehera. A, e whiria tonutia nei, e whiria tonutia nei. Whiria ki a u, ki a tū roa ai. Mō ngā uri whakatupu, tihei mauri ora. Okay, so the important themes of this hui are the weaving of us together, and the weaving of the reaching out and weaving in of all of the communities with whom we interact. So the weaving plan will feature in this hui, and also outreach will be a strong feature of this hui. Just a quick attention to apologies. Trindi Walker specifically said that she was sorry to have a conflicting engagement tonight. Trindi is a councillor in Tasman District Council. Okay, so we have recently adopted the practice of celebrating successes in our forum, and so let me check in with the people here about whether there are successes you might like to share with others in your forum work. While you're over, right, Barbara.
Success is an interesting word, isn't it? I believe I'm the only one here from the waste group, or with our new name, but because there's quite an important closing the loop event on this evening that Karen Driver, Carlo, Kelly and Sharon are all at. So I guess in terms of success, I'll report back that another, although I didn't personally attend this one, there was another repair cafe 2 Saturdays ago that was also in a horrendous extreme weather event. They seem every month that coincides, but having said that, it seems that there's gradually an interest, and people are becoming accustomed to going. I believe that JP and Jace might have been there on the bike stand. Certainly they were in the previous one that I was at, helping out. And the other thing that some of us from the waste group have been involved in is a plastic-free July, going out, outreaching in the community with cafes, just to keep up the keep cup move and just have conversations with cafe owners. So I couldn't say that they were successes, but at least we've been talking a lot with people, and there has been some positive engagement there. So,
Oh, well done, Repair Cafes. That's really a terrific move, and the plastic-free duos. Excellent. Any other successes that people would like to? Chris.
And thanks, Joanna. I'm not sure it's a success yet, but yesterday we had this meeting in Brightwater about Snowdon's Bush, with the aim of trying to sort of help local people there establish a group that would start to look after this important reserve. And so we had quite a number of people from our group of the Climate Forum there, including Gillian Bishop from TET, because the Tasman Environment Trust can provide support to these sorts of community groups. And also we had a doc staff person who's responsible for that reserve there as well. And while I wouldn't say there was a huge turnout, because there were more people from the Climate Forum there than there were from the local community, but still we had enough presence there and people interested to sort of have the first steps towards creating a Friends of Snowdon Bush group, people interested in doing trapping there, and people interested in organising the group as well and doing further promotion locally. So we hope we've got something started there, and we've got sort of the means to support them along with DOC and the Tasman Environment Trust into the future. Okay.
Well done, Chris. And just this evening, I got a letter to redirect to you from a nursery offering assistance with it, which is lovely. Okay, the Staying Healthy and Connected group had its first meeting and made a plan. Is there anyone here who'd like to expand on that a little bit? Okay, that we would certainly count that as a step.
Yeah,
Julie.
Yeah.
I can a little bit. There weren't many of us there, but it was really quite a cool conversation, and we decided to create a mini workshop that would encourage groups to think about resilience and their internal reactions to climate change and ecological breakdown. And the idea will be that anyone in the forum can deliver this workshop to groups that they're part of as a way of one version of outreach. So yeah, watch this space.
Thank you, Julie. That sounds like a very interesting group.
I think Anne,
Anne, please go ahead.
Well, I don't know if this counts as a success, but Anya and I have been working on the social media channels of the forum, and I'm doing Instagram, and started on the 27th of May, and we've gone up from basically 0 followers to 215.
You don't know if that counts as a success. That's terrific. Well, that's wonderful, Anne. Thank you very much. Was that Robin? Did you have your hand up, Robin? No, okay. Any hands I've missed? Jack.
can I report a failure?
Yes.
Well, these are important too. I'm actually trying to get a energy group reestablished, and I'm not having a lot of success. And I realize that just about everyone here on this session is already overcommitted. But if you know of anyone else in the forum or even outside the forum who might be interested in joining the energy group, would you please get in touch with me or have them get in touch with me? Jace did, and thank you, Jace. We'll certainly continue. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Hey, could I just make a comment about that? Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that about a few weeks ago, I went to a workshop that the TDC held for the Tasman Environment Plan, which was on infrastructure and energy. And so there's a process underway and with that environment plan that would link directly to this energy group. And I was a bit out of place there dealing with biodiversity and ecosystems and so on, but there needs to be someone thinking about that aspect with infrastructure development. And so it was
Great, thank you, Chris. I'll get in touch with you later and just get some names and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I had a success to report of somebody else, and it's an interesting one. Some of you may have seen ads that have been put out for using gas in homes as a fossil fuel, and as part of expected pushback by the fossil fuel industry to moves to it's First Gas is the company, and they had an ad on TV, which, and I want to quote from it. It says, "New Zealand is heading towards zero carbon, so we're ensuring our gas is going zero carbon too. You know what that means for you? Absolutely nothing. You can continue doing what you love and help change the world without changing too much of yours." That would be likely to excite certain feelings in climate activists. And one of our number, Yuki's husband, Nathan Edmonston, wrote a complaint to the Advertising Standards Association, and so did several others, including Lawyers for Climate Action. And the results of the hearing was that the complaints were upheld in part and the ad was withdrawn. And I took a little time with this success report because there's going to be more of this, and we need to be vigilant and respond. So that's report is on behalf of Nathan and Yuki, of something well done and successful. Okay, have I missed anyone? Oh yes, Snatty, Jill, go ahead.
You're on mute, Jill.
Yep. Do you want me to comment on the volunteer expo?
Yes, please. Yes.
Volunteer Nelson arranged the expo, which had lots of people from all different volunteer groups, and Biddy and I were there with a stall. Now it was another really, really wet day, but there was a reasonable turnout considering. We had 12 people signed up as potential interest. We also had a lot of people who were very positive about the fact that they could take photos of the QR code to go straight to the action plan. So that was great. And also quite a lot of people took photographs of the Repair Cafe advert. So they liked the fact that we weren't just handing out leaflets. So that was good. It's great that Volunteer Nelson does this system, but I don't think it's the most effective way of getting volunteers. I see that, Joe, you're going to be talking to Forest and Bird, which I think would be very well received, so that's great. Am I allowed to make a couple of comments about Repair Cafe, because I actually have been at them, and thank you very much, Barbara, for your comment. I mean, I only turn up. It's the waste group who do the work, which is fantastic, and JP and Jace are there, and that's great. And in the volunteer group, one of the things that people expressed most interest in was the fact that we're doing a Repair Cafe. So, you know, I think that's going to be an increasing thing. And the other thing that's really nice about the Repair Cafe is 2 months ago, we had a woman from Colombia. And then this last month, she brought 3 more ex-refugees. A couple of them young men, one an electrician and one a carpenter. And so they're not only bringing their skills, but they're actually practicing their English, but also enjoying feeling welcomed into the community. So I think the Repair Cafe is achieving a lot of different things.
It's really weaving our community together. That's
Absolutely.
really, that's lovely. Lovely, Sati. Thank you so much. Okay, you're getting a big applause from Yakal on that. Okay. Oh, well, we will, we had hoped to have a youth spotlight, but I don't see anyone who looks like a youth. So we won't. We will go straight into the arts and culture spotlight. And I think, Anya, you're on first here. Is that correct? You're our first arts feature.
I can be. So this is a poem written by another Anya, Anya O'Neill, and she's the sustainability specialist out at King Salmon. It's called Oni Oni, which means soil, and dovetails nicely in with JP's presentation of his installation on soil that we saw last time. Anyway, Oni Oni. I am not dirt, so why do you treat me this way? I am not dirt, so why do you degrade me each day? Erode the very life from me, stripped and leached, poisoned and bleached, suffocated, compacted, contaminated, drained and polluted, abused and looted. I am not dirt, so why do you treat me this way? I am life, I give life, more life than stars in the sky, yet you do not gaze in awe. I am not dirt, so why do you treat me this way? You will return to me as you were born from me. I am not dirt. Why do you treat me this way? When you return to me, I will not judge. I will embrace and return you to your truest form, to live once again. I am not dirt. I am life. So why do you treat me this way? By Anya O'Neill, not me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was.
She's also given us permission to share it on our website if you like. So.
Oh, great. Excellent. Thank you very much, Anya.
You're welcome.
And now we turn from literary arts to visual arts with two important artists with us, Danny Sugar and Anna Aceves. Okay, will do. Righto. I want to particularly mention Anna because when you see our logo, that's Anna's work.
Oh.
And
the climate forum. The climate.
That's
the climate forum
that's
logo. Oh, your logo. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the coal logo.
No.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry
no.
Carry on. I'm not used to meetings.
Okay. And more recently, Anna and Danny have been working on the Stop the Coal Monster campaign and have done some very terrific work, artistic work on that. And they're going to, I hope, tell us about it and show it to us.
Hello, everyone.
Go ahead.
I'm Danny.
I'm Anna. Thank you for inviting us to your meeting. Danny's probably going to do all the talking.
No, so I'll try not to. I do talk a lot. Yeah, we were just invited by Robin to kind of discuss our process with the communicating the coal campaign, which was started by our friend Jose, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. So if I can share the screen at some point,
maybe we can start by showing it.
Yeah, well, we can talk about, I think it's the process leading up to it that we can start with. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see that?
Can
Yes.
can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Right. So, Anna, you can.
So
talk
yeah,
about
this
the
project was started by Jose, and then initially, well, the main purpose of the campaign was to connect emotionally with the viewers, so that they could sign a petition and also sign up to a newsletter. There was also a bigger goal in mind of Jose, which was to do a big action in the streets with the little girl at the front of this action, and there was going to be a huge coal monster in the background, but like the logistics of it seemed really complicated. So we kind of like, I don't know how to say it. We just scaled it down. So it ended up just being the main purpose, just to sign the petition that it will be presented to the council at some point. So far, we have 485 signatures. So, and the signatures are coming in every day. So the campaign is still doing its job. And this was the logo that we did for the project. Danny's going to share the animations. I think that they say that images are worth more than 1,000,000 words, especially if they're my words. So I can talk with images more than I can
So
talk.
these are some illustrations that Anna did. And I think one of the things that we initially discussed in our meetings was to try and show the contrast of you know, how everything's being damaged. And initially our discussions were to create one much longer animation, and we decided against that because first of all, the process of animation is very long. Secondly, I think from the perspective of grabbing people's attention very quickly, I've got some background in doing like advertising for Facebook and stuff, and research shows that people kind of turn off after 10 or 15 seconds. So so it became quickly the plan to try and keep it as short as we possibly could and filter the message into literally 15 seconds, rather than spending months and months and months producing one long animation, which then might not even be watched by many people. We thought we'd be a lot more fluid and try to come up with a format that we can continue to create more animations with in the future, once all the timing and everything was established. So yep, go on.
So if you can see the screen, this was the storyboard for the beginning of the long animation, and it was just showing the little, like, well, the environment in which the girl is growing up. So then you see the house and it all looks really romantic, but then there's this cloud of smoke that goes through the house, and then the mother starts coughing. So then the girl gives the mother a hug, and then the girl's gonna start searching for what's making the mother sick. So she jumps into the bicycle and she follows the cloud of smoke. So that was the beginning of the animation, and she was gonna go in a journey to see what was making her mother sick.
So the larger story was that she would eventually, like, after going through these different environments, and see how the damage is being done, but following the smoke to its source, the ultimate monster was actually not going to be the problem. It was actually, she was going to help the coal back to its resting place rather than it being the actual monster. There was a lot of story development initially before we actually went to doing the short animations, which actually helped with the character development. But yeah, in the end, we will show you the videos in a second. So this is just a little storyboard of, I don't know if you can see the corner, because on our screen, your faces are taking up some of the, can you see all 6 panels?
Yes.
Okay, so we, after some discussion going backwards and forwards with another collaborator, Sarah Farnsworth, who was helping us produce. She's got animation experience, but we actually produced all the animations, but she helped us filter. And every time we went back to have a meeting, it was good for us to have a third person to talk to. And she was like, well, let's take more out, until eventually we were left with something along these lines where we're establishing a scene, there are some happy fish, and then there's a transition to a coal, like oil slicked
type
of
water.
Yeah, water, and then dead fish would start coming in, and all this would be very quick. So I'll play you the animations now, and then we'll see what happens after that. So this is the first scene showing what Anna described. So they're the three animations we produced, and just quickly, you'll notice that the timing was established after we made the first animation, where the music would come in at exactly the same moment, and the transition points between the positive and negative were all happening at the same moment. So we came up with a kind of a template for messaging in a short period of time. And there was some discussion about that final music, whether it should be positive or negative, or leave an ominous feel. But in the end, ultimately, we decided that we would give some hope with the music. Otherwise, we would leave people feeling completely helpless. So hopefully we managed to achieve that, and I'll stop harping on. And yeah, if you have any questions, let us know.
Try not to make this dog project too cute.
Yeah, you're cute. Yes, you are.
Where's that coming from?
Too late.
Is that us? I don't think that's us. Oh, hold on. Sorry, it may be an advert that's playing somewhere.
Interesting that you guys
Let me stop sharing.
You know, I meet a dog and I'm in love.
Is it us?
Almost every dog I meet. I mean, people who are watching me carefully, I would steal their dogs and bring them home.
Where is that?
I think you're the only source of sound at the moment.
Here's how much you can love them. I think it shows you
I don't know how to turn it off.
Can we mute you?
Yeah.
Can you mute yourselves for a moment?
Hopefully
Yeah, that's gone. Great. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, but it is sharing.
No.
It's sharing. Share sound is off.
Okay.
No...
That was terrific. I'd like to leave a moment for people to react to it, if I may. Astonishing what you can get into 15 seconds. I can't believe it.
We're back.
Sorry, we're back. I don't know if there was some advert that started playing in the background really loud. Sorry about that.
It's all right, Danny.
Yes. So we missed what you were saying as well. So if you have any
okay. I was just saying I'd like to invite people to react and give you some comments on
Sure.
what they've just seen. And in this moment, I'd like to welcome Chris Peterson and Di, who are also coming in from Masterton. Councillor Peterson and lovely Di. Okay, so comments on what you've just seen, and you can also include comments on.
Sorry, this is a picture of me. So how do I get a picture of, you know, whatever they're showing?
Oh.
We've just seen it, Chris. I'm so sorry if you missed it. But we'll just invite comments on. We just saw a couple of little videos on fossil fuels, use of coal, stop the coal monster. So I'm inviting some comments on what people have just seen. And the place of art in what we're doing. Carolyn.
Is this getting into schools? This little video, this message, is it getting into schools?
Anna and Danny, do you want to respond?
No, it's been showing on social media, but we haven't shown it in schools because the main purpose of it was for people to sign a petition. So we didn't think that schools was an appropriate place.
But yeah, I don't know if, because Robin is part of the group, maybe she should talk to that, because we've actually mainly, we're less involved with the campaign itself as much as we are doing the actual artwork for it. So I'll pass over to Robin.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. So because the size of the group was rather small, it was decided in the beginning to focus on the petition, but there's been some interest from Jace Hobbs and I think James Moran in starting to expand again into street theater. And that would be something that could be brought into the schools. They're building puppet, you know, one of those giant puppets that a person actually goes inside, etc. Jace, do you want to say anything?
Well, just that I actually am very intrigued by that part of the plan, and that I am looking for an adult actress that wishes to play Sarah, the child. So I don't want to have a child play it. I'd like to have an adult play it if I could, but also to then hopefully make it into the schools and into parades and other public events. Yes. That storyline, I think, is a very important storyline. And I am very impressed with what you've done, the artwork, Anna and Danny. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jace.
Yeah. Any comments on the place of art in general in our work?
Yeah, I'd like to say something about that. Well, Anna had her hand up. Go ahead.
Oh,
Anna.
sorry, Anna, go ahead.
I just think that art is as good as any other tool. We have to change so much in our society that we need every source of every tool that we can. So art is just another one of them. With art, we can touch people emotionally, and sometimes, well, the message is international, so you don't need to have a specific language. It works for everybody. So it is powerful, but I think that we at this point we need to use every tool possible.
But
so it's just
also, I think as artists, and Anna can speak to this, like there's been a lot of feeling of helplessness and kind of getting involved with, as artists, we felt that getting involved in groups is actually less helpful from our perspective than actually using our art to reach a wider audience. So that makes us, you know, as artists feel a little bit less helpless and more encouraged to actually produce art instead of, you know, necessarily going out on marches and being one of the numbers, just because we feel we can actually make more impact. We feel less helpless doing what we do than just being a number.
Well,
An important number, of course, but yeah.
Let me invite Jack, then
No,
John
no,
Paul, then
Anne.
Anne.
I think
Was Anne
first.
first? Okay. All right. Anne, go ahead.
No worries, go ahead. I'm putting my comment in the chat.
Okay. John Paul.
Danny pretty much covered what I was going to say. I mean, I think one of the things is we do everything that we can and play to our strengths, but art does provide that emotional connection that I think is vital. So it is a key part of getting societal change, I think. Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by the graphics you guys did.
Mm.
Thanks, JP.
So Jack, finally, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's great to see some art getting introduced in this. You know, so much of what we've been focusing on is technical, which is clearly important, and the problems and the destruction. But and I think one of the reasons why it's so difficult to make the changes that we need is because we really do need a cultural change, and we need the artist community to understand the direction of the change and help lead it the way art typically does lead society. And I think there's an enormous role for artists to help create a vision of what a very different kind of world can be. I'm keen on talking to others who might be interested in this to see how we might progress it. Thank you.
Excellent. And
I'll just respond as well. I think one of the biggest issues for us is not to just focus on like horrifying people, because I don't know whether that's necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of that going on. So trying to figure out a way to message it so that there's a better future rather than just doom and gloom, because I don't know how, I mean, I don't know how well people respond to either way, but that's the biggest challenge from a creator's perspective, is not just to frighten people into submission, because I'm not sure that actually works.
One thing that was interesting when we were showing this animation to people is that initially you'll see the face really happy and thinking, oh, this is so cute. And then suddenly when things turned nasty, they just didn't know what to say. And that was, then you just felt the silence. And to me, that was quite interesting.
Another idea we had as part of the campaign was actually to run the exact same animations in reverse, which we never actually haven't got round to doing yet, but starting from the negative and then going to the positive as a way to reuse that same messaging, but actually, you know, obviously reverse the message that it can actually get better if we do something about it, and leave people hopeful.
And as the last person in this section.
My
Oh, and then
typing-
David. And then David.
My typing didn't work very well. Hear what Danny was just saying about the importance of not frightening people. And there's actually a sizable international community working on climate change communication principles, and different organizations have produced sets of principles that are basically pointing in the same direction, in exactly the direction that Danny stated, that basically people need to feel there's something they can do and to have hope. And here in New Zealand, very recently, there was a fantastic live streamed presentation at Te Papa put on by Track Zero New Zealand, which is a charity started by Sarah Meads to bring together artists and scientists around climate action and climate innovation. And there's a link to it on the front page of the website if anyone wants to see it. There were some great activists and artists there. And also there was Penehuru Lefale, who some years back wrote the Small Island States chapter of one of the IPCC reports and won the Nobel Prize for this. And it was very interesting, the things he had to say in this panel discussion. And finally, a plug for one of my favorite forms of art, literature. There's a whole genre of climate fiction, including New Zealand authors. And if anybody wants a list of great climate fiction, send me a message.
Oh, I think I'll send you a message right now. And yeah, please publish the list. We lots of us would be interested. Now to David Bartle, last person in this section. David, you're muted.
Our communications group have had quite a few discussions about how we could better share some of the art that has been created, including on the website and other means. And of course, there is some stuff that's going on, and we need to work together to make sure we get this around. So Anya recently has put out another presentation related to the Climate Action Plan, which has got a lot of positive messages in that artwork. And so it's nice to see quite a diversity of things being done, and we need to make sure we share it across the forum in various ways. People have said, how can we better share videos? How can we better share this? And people like Anne are putting quite a lot of time into this, and we'll all need to try and step up. That was what I wanted to say. Thanks.
We're very grateful to the communications group for what they do. We need to move on to the next section. A big step now to science. This is our science spot, and Tord Kjellstrom is taking the lead in this. Over to you, Tord.
Thank you, Joanna. And I will share my screen with you. See if I find the thing. Where is it? Must be here. No.
Yep, we've got it.
No, it's the wrong one. Sorry. I'll try again. It's funny, I can't see. Where is it? How weird. Sorry.
It's okay.
Something is going on here which I can't really work out. So how to do that? This, go back here. Now I got it on my own screen. So I go back to this. And then I do this. Sorry about this. I haven't done this before. Should be working.
Take your time, Tord.
How weird. It's not there.
Is it necessary, Marlene, for you as host to do anything to enable?
No, it comes now.
Okay.
I think this is it. Can you see something?
Yes, we can.
Good. Anyway, David Eyre and I put together, inspired by the Science, Technology and Research Group, a few short PowerPoints on the issue of the carbon footprint calculations. And as many of you are aware, the Stats New Zealand produced last year a carbon footprint calculation for our region, which is Nelson and Tasman together. And they came up with this results that there was 1.2 million tons per year of greenhouse gases emitted from this region, and almost half of it coming from agriculture. Of course, the cows and the lamb is the main problem in that context. And then about 20% from households, some from manufacturing, etc. So for some of you, this is not new, but it's interesting to consider that these emissions amount to 11.4 tons per year per person, and the global mean is 6.2 tons. And that in itself is, of course, too high to cope with or to be able to protect the world from climate change. So when we look at these numbers, it's very important, I think, to to use the best possible science to make quantifications of the impacts of different activities. And it's crystal clear that we have to somehow integrate into these discussions and conversations agriculture and what can be done about that. Then if you look at time trends, this report from Stats New Zealand also indicates the amounts of greenhouse gases coming from the Nelson Tasman region in 2007 and 2018, and there was absolutely no change. And for New Zealand itself, the whole country, the trend is quite similar. So we're not making progress over these 11 years in our region. And it's very important to consider what can be done and to develop scenarios for future changes in the greenhouse gas emissions, and also to then analyze what would be the impact of decisions or policies developed by the two councils. And if we add a certain number of native forests, for instance, 50,000 hectares, that would cut out half of the emissions, the current emissions, which is similar to what agriculture produces. So it's not a way to point fingers at farmers, but it's a way to engage with the farmers and to actually see, can the local organizations dealing with the land use and farming start developing innovative new programs for protecting our region and the world. And we need to use all tools available, as is often pointed out. So the next steps is the question of how to move forward to a net zero carbon footprint. And we feel, David and I at least, and the science group, that we should apply scientific principles to do these calculations and to quantify what is the impact of different decisions by individuals as well as the councils. We need accurate, up-to-date estimates of the footprint needed in order to monitor the trends. And at the moment, these numbers from the Stats New Zealand are very rough. And as I said, the council policies and how they interact or how they impact on the footprint needs to be calculated. The Stats New Zealand had a survey which only had 30 replies, but basically the general trend in the results said that what they are doing is an essential service for New Zealand communities. It's timely, but it needs more detail. And what is still missing in this work is future projections for where would we go according to different scenarios, and also the potential to test these calculations locally in different ways. And we feel that those of you who are interested in contributing to these discussions should join up with the Science, Technology and Research Group and look at the various proposals from Stats New Zealand. And we can make an input, and we can even, together with the councils, of course, test new ways of doing this. So one of the things they are proposing later this year is to add additional industries to their calculations, to do more analysis on the economic and social drivers behind the greenhouse gas emissions. They are going to look at the carbon sequestrations from forestry, both native forest, of course, and other types of forestry. They're going to look at other regions and how they compare with each other, which opens the door to actually doing local innovative new aspects of this work. And finally, as I mentioned, what they have not yet started doing is projections into the future. So the question is how we can then from the forum contribute to this. We can use expertise inside the forum and outside the forum locally to develop new items for analysis. We can have contributions from all groups in the forum to this, not just our science group. we can carry out tentative analysis for the region and identify links to specific mitigation actions for reducing the emissions. And we can collaborate with the council staff, of course. And already there are some initiatives in that direction, but we haven't yet sat down with them from the forum end to discuss specifically these calculations. And we can promote similar initiatives in other parts of New Zealand and also beyond New Zealand. And I think from my own point of view, it's extremely important to use New Zealand science capacity to contribute to analysis for those big countries that have the biggest emissions, like China, India, United States, Japan, so that our science work here actually influences eventually their decisions. And finally, let me just point out that Jack Santa Barbara yesterday had an article printed in the newsroom media center that you get free on your website or your internet. And it was about the Earth Overshoot Day, which is actually tomorrow. That's the day when we have consumed globally as many resources that nature provides that is available for this year. So beyond tomorrow, all the activities involving greenhouse gas emissions are adding to the burden on our climate. So there you go. These are the ideas. And I think that the next step would be for people interested from other groups to send us an email to the David Eyre and see if we can maybe have a special meeting to discuss these carbon footprint calculation methods. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tord, and let me include David in that too. That was a very helpful presentation of a vital aspect of our work to keep track of our regional emissions and to try to make that fine-grained enough for us to act upon it. Very grateful for that contribution from the science group. Need to move on to one of the important items for tonight, which is the weaving plan. Now, the forum has up to this point approved the structure of the weaving plan, but hasn't yet had an opportunity to see what's in it, who's doing what. And we want to try to keep everyone in the forum informed in an ongoing way about who's doing what in the forum, what's going on. And so Marlene has prepared a presentation on this, and at the end I'll be asking for some input on this. But Marlene,
all right, yeah.
Go ahead.
So I will try to share. I hope it will work. So can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, so as I just put this on. Yeah, so as Joanna said, it's so I will make maybe a little bit of a resume of where we are going, where we left from. So yeah, where this weaving plan comes from. So so the forum has set a few principles that you can read there. Grow from shared local visions, build from strengths, work with diverse communities and sectors, grow collaborative local leadership, and learn by doing. And this principle has been, they have been translated in action categories, which are, as you may know, these 4 different categories of action. So connecting the dots. So it means really mapping what is already existing, what needs to be done, and also facilitating the conversation between the people in the region, making some kind of grassroots actions. So creating new stuff and also supporting what is already existing. Action are linked to education. There is work to be done on you know, building a shared understanding with students, but also within the whole community. And also some of the action are about advocacy. So it's also engaging and supporting decision makers. So that was the action where we wanted to see the projects going into. So you will see the results later. I mean, how they fit into these actions. So the Weaving Plan also wanted to take care of the different audiences. So there is these audiences that were identified as important to fill. So this is a kind of resume of all the projects that we received through the form that Jessie put in place. So in fact, the good news is that there is a project in every thematics. I mean, sometimes it's supported by one group, but mainly all the thematics have, I mean, so, for instance, the school group has got different actions, projects in different thematic, mainly linked to what we make, buy and waste. So different projects you can see there in a few boxes. I mean, in different boxes. So yeah, so this is a big resume. That's only the title of the project, so you can have a view. But yeah, and this is a slide to see that this project also show in which action categories they fit. I'm sorry because I've got the feeling that my slides are not the one that I prepared. Anyway, so I will improvise. So I discover a little bit what I present you. Yeah, so this is a slide about the indicators of success. That was also part of the form that Jessie put in place, and I think that was really interesting. Mainly, maybe apart from the description of the project, I think that is something that has to be shared somewhere somehow, because that's, for me, that's something that is speaking a lot and can encourage lots of groups and people to engage with the project. So, all right, okay, so good. So this is a slide to show you that, I mean, it's really general. My presentation is really general, but everything will be has been summarized in a document that will be shared with the minutes of this meeting. So you will have a possibility to see a little bit more the description of all the projects and also the volunteer needs, because of course it was asked to every project manager, I would call them like that. Every people who fill the form about a project to share the needs they had. So we'll try we'll find a way to meet these needs. So we've got now a big list of projects, and it's really important. That will be really important in many areas. I think for funders, most of all, just to show them that we are working and that we have got lots of projects. For volunteers, so as I said, we will have lots of needs of volunteering. So it's so volunteer may see a little bit more what's going on in each group and where they could fit. And so it could be for members, but also new people that could join. And yeah, and also for members, you can know what's happening, and yeah, share your contribution in other groups. So yeah, so this is the weaving plan for the moment. It has a kind of fun. So now we have to. We want it to be a living and evolving document. So for the moment, it's kind of a list of projects. So yeah, if you've got suggestions about its layout, they are welcome. I mean, we've got a few ideas already, but the discussion is really open. We will have maybe to put it on the website somewhere, but maybe in an attractive way. So every suggestion is welcome. And also, I make also a call tonight just to make sure that this document is as up to date as possible. So that will be really nice that everybody could keep me in touch with what's going on with their project. And yeah, that's also, don't hesitate to add projects, because of course it's, so for the moment I've listed 16 projects. So yeah, we can have more, but of course we have to make them. So I think that's all. Yeah. So yeah, if you've got question or suggestion about that, I'm there. Just stop it.
Thank you very much, Marlene. That was an efficient and effective way to convey a myriad of activities that are going on in the forum. And as Marlene said, we want to sort of keep that overview, which, as she said, is evolving and dynamic, but enable everyone to have a rough idea of what's going on in the forum at all times. And part of having that overview is that the leadership group also will have a sort of benign overview, watching to make sure that things are aligned with the purposes in the charter, and that we're kind of moving together, weaving things together on a track guided by the charter. So I'm really wanting to spend a couple of minutes just doing a bit of a check that everyone is feeling we're on the right track with keeping that overview in this way, and any comments that you have really about this ongoing overview of the weaving plan, based on Marlene's presentation of it. Any comments on that? David.
Our group, can you hear me? Our group has had comms group has had a discussion about how we check that everybody who is a member of the forum is easily able to sign up for one of these projects. And Anne has courageously volunteered to go back on our listing and see how our membership matches up with our members of particular topic groups and so on, to see if there are people we could contact to see if they might be willing to join a project or not. And then eventually we could go beyond that to some of our other addressees. But we need to invite people. They don't need to be a member of the forum. They could be anybody in the community. We're not exclusive, we're inclusive. And indeed, some of our projects ideally should extend elsewhere. So the Repair Cafe, for example, is a global operation that started, I think, in the Netherlands or somewhere. And, you know, the world is copying the idea. It's good that we should copy ideas and extend it. And we should extend these projects as far as we can and include others in them. So let's multiply these projects if we possibly can.
Thank you, David. Thank you. That sounds like a really helpful function that you and Anne are working on. Any other comments on this? And I want to get a sense if this is meaningful to people, if this is a helpful way for us to do it, or if you have any concerns about the way we're doing this. Okay. Oh, John.
I'll just jump in there. I guess from the society and culture perspective, we've sort of talked about how we engage in this, and we haven't, as you can see, done very much at all about it. We do have sort of ongoing projects. I would suggest that maybe our group is a project in itself. But certainly when we have ongoing, we're essentially a support group, I think, that's the way it's developing. So I will, it's worth a discussion about how we the things that we're doing are sort of included in that. But, overall, I think it's a good idea to, for people to be able to see what's going on pretty easily. And it's a nice list, and it's good to see all the things that, from my perspective, to be able to see what's going on elsewhere in the forum is really good.
We would love to have projects from your group on the list. We would really be delighted. Okay, well, let's move on. We want to have a little spot for David Bartle to say something about, to really convey the idea that there's possible funding for the sort of work that you have just seen arrayed before you. David would like to have a word. David Bartle would like to have a word.
Thanks. I'll keep it brief. So yes, we've agreed that projects are vital, and we've discovered, of course, that we're not the only ones thinking this. So when you apply for funding, people who are considering giving us money want something very specific, and currently we could do with more specific information. So the weaving plan examples we've seen tonight ideally need to be further written up so we can then utilize them as part of our fundraising efforts. And the reason we need fundraising is we need to diversify. We've had an incredibly generous grant from the Nelson Council, which, however, doesn't cover everything we wish to do. We need to extend our work in Tasman, for example. And so I've applied for the forum in a number of places to get some funding, and several of these applications are in process, but the people running the grants say, well, they're having read our application, it's well written, but you haven't got a very strong case. So the reason we've not got a very strong case is we need to have projects which are in effect on the ground, where funders can say, these people are doing these things. So I mean, examples we've heard tonight of things in gestation, and that's great. And that's, I guess, I've written some other notes about projects, which is something I was asked to speak about too, but I'm very keen to see these projects advance further. That's all, thank you.
Thanks very much, David. And let me just say that we very much appreciate the work that you put in to seeking funding for projects, and hope that we'll be able to help you make a better case for funding some of the work going ahead. So, but it's a lot of work, and we really thank you for it. Was there another hand up there somewhere? No, there wasn't. Okay.
Oh, sorry, kia ora. I have a hand up. Kia ora koutou. David, I was just listening to you there, and I just thought, you said about a lot of those projects are in the gestational phase, but is that a good thing when applying for funding? What looks good and what doesn't look good in terms of where the project should be at?
Can I respond to that? Yes, well, it can be good if there's enough specifics written up, you see. So if you've had a meeting about something, that's not really a project, is it? It's common sense. So we need a project might have a plan, it might have some actions, it might have some people. So that sort of information, if we had that on our website as part of our weaving plan, we would then have the specifics. So an example is the work with the schools, which hasn't started yet. So this has been mentioned 4 times in the weaving plan, but we need to start it before we can say we're actually doing something.
Right. Yeah.
The discussions with the schools at a very early stage. So it's claiming too much to say we've got doing great work with the schools, and we can duplicate that story across lots of areas. We can't do that. It's not credible. Sorry.
So do they need us to do the funders then need us to have projects up and running to have like proof points of what we're able to achieve?
Preferably yes, but if not, at least a plan with the details I've just mentioned. You know, preferably yes, but a plan with some specific actions, dedicated resources, including our own resources. Obviously, funders are not just giving it; they want to see other people putting skin in the game too.
So, Jack.
David, my experience with funders is that they want to see some clarity about what the expected outcome is.
They do that, yes.
And they want it, so they want to see some clear goals, and they want to see some numbers.
They do.
Of what the impact is going to be. So it's not just the activities that are the project is going to undertake, but what's the results of the project. And it's those results and the deliverables that I think funders are most interested in. So all of the projects that have been described in terms of being at early stages need to move toward clarification of what the goals are and put some numbers to it and what the impact is and relate that back to, you know, the overall vision of why we're doing it.
I think Carolyn had her hand up. Oh, and Chris. Thanks. Carolyn, take yourself off mute. Carolyn, take yourself off mute.
Doing it. Okay. Yeah. In terms of funding applications, I think it's very important to understand that you're in partnership with the funder, and the idea of collaborating with them, and of asking the funder right straight out, you know, what are you looking after? What sort of outcomes? What value can we be to your goals and your objectives? Because I've found that in the recent 2 years, which is good news, that some of the funders have moved away from having a priority to, for example, food security, if you're looking at the food area, or energy security, or regenerative agriculture. So it really pays, I think, to have this discussion with funders to understand if they are wanting to promote these objectives, and then align yourself.
Right. Chris Wheatley and then David Bartle, and then we need to close this bit.
Thanks. Yeah. Most funders will only receive proposals from legally constituted entities, which the forum is not, which is why we've linked up with Tasman Environmental Trust, right? So I assume that you're making proposals through the trust using the legal, the fact that the trust is a registered charity and so on. So in that case, is there a possibility of piggybacking on the proposals that the trust itself is developing? You know, can we take advantage of their track record and credibility in order to get some things funded through the Climate Forum, which we may have problems doing on our own?
David. David Bartle.
Yes, we do use the Tasman Environmental Forum, and we do use their mechanism because we're not a registered charity. And as was mentioned earlier, I have had discussion with funders. You know, we do discuss with funders what they want, and we do recognise that preferences change. I wanted to respond to what Jack had said about outcomes and measures. You don't need that much. We don't have to be sophisticated. It frustrates me greatly that when you look across New Zealand at things like EV car sharing, solar cells cooperatives, shuttle buses, walking to school groups, cycle action networks, community gardens, these are projects that are all over New Zealand, and I feel that our region is behind. We need to just get some of these projects started so we can say to people, I mean, I was quite shocked when Anya spoke to the Nelson newspapers, and they said, we don't want to publish you guys because you're not doing much. So we need to show that we're doing something. Our submission processes are fantastic, but we need projects on the ground to show we're doing stuff. And other groups are doing stuff, even with resources. So if 3 people in Otago can do an EV car sharing, why the hell can't we do one here?
Well, that's a prod in the ribs for us, David, and a little bit of good news on this front. We've been holding off a proposal that we have been hoping that we could move on, and that is to have a part-time paid person who will assist groups in getting their projects into shape, into the sort of shape that would enable proposals for funding. And this morning, NCC sort of gave us the go-ahead, gave us the green light in terms of using their generous funding for this purpose. So we may be able to apply more expertise across the board in shaping up these good ideas into fundable projects in some cases. So the scene may look a bit better. Okay, timing suggests closing this bit off and moving to the next bit, unless there's someone with a burning comment that they feel they've got to make. Okay, all right, so this is another bit of a prod in the ribs in some ways. Yeah, it involves, the next bit is on outreach and just the importance of thinking in terms of outreach. And I want to lay this on the foundation that exists of the structure and function of our forum having been very thoughtfully, very carefully built up in the last year, particularly with Jessie and Julie working on it. And now is time to swing into more action. Not that we haven't been doing stuff. There have been lots of people doing lots of things, but beefing this up, particularly more outreach action, which hits two of the weaving plan's elements, connecting the dots and education. And just to point out some of the stuff that is going on, that's outreach, Repair Cafe, star, Snowdon's Bush replanting, multi-stars. There's a group working now on connecting the forum with the Nelson Marlborough District Health Board, which could really produce some good things. Not all of this outreach work is done by topic groups. Some of it is done by individuals. One of us is working on connecting the forum with the Nelson Regional Development Agency, which could be very fruitful. Carolyn, in our midst tonight, is working on connecting the forum and climate work with the Anglican Synod, another really potentially important piece of outreach. So I wanted to spend a bit of time tonight brainstorming on outreach and asking all of us to consider our life space in ever widening circles: family, friends, work, school, businesses, clubs, kindergartens, retirement homes, faith organizations, ethnic groups, particularly clubs, service clubs, tramping clubs, and so on. And also to direct our thoughts into unlikely places, not just the usual suspects, but the unusual ones. Thinking your accountant, Girl Guide Company. I got that from Natasha Tomic, actually. Farmers, your hairdresser, restaurants about offering more vegetarian choices. And the outreach we do can be informal conversations and also more formal presentations You know, if your book club, if you have a book club, asking if you can present on the climate action book. And often conversations can start. I mean, any normal conversation often starts with what you've been doing lately, or anything that's upset or encouraged you lately. I want to point out that there are resources for outreach. We have resources within us. All of us know something about having climate conversations. And it's relatively easy to use the tool of the climate action book to start a conversation. But there's more resources than that. Supposing your book club wanted a presentation, Jessie has presented an excellent sort of all-purpose PowerPoint presentation, which anyone could use. And if you should be asked to do a workshop with a group on climate issues, I have a template for a workshop on it. And if it would be helpful if you would consider bringing any hitches or problems that you have in climate conversations to the September Hui, where we'll actually focus on climate conversations in that Hui. It'll be a major theme of the Hui. So it'll be grist for the mill if you run into a difficult conversation and bring that to that Hui. We could also have more training sessions if members of the forum would like that. Finally, when you do your outreach, when you have your conversations or you talk to a group or a class in school or whatever, tell Anya about it. Maybe there's a story in it that Anya can use. But we need to count these things. NCC is funding us, and they want to know they literally want to know how many outreach actions we take. So it's really quite important to tell Anya when you do an outreach action. So NCC really wants to see this happen. They see it as us working in partnership with them in doing this. So we have 110,000 people in this region. We have a lot of people to reach out to, and Anya's prepared for an avalanche of emails, right? So now Marlene is going to divide us into breakout groups for a brainstorm, and you have 2 questions to address with the others in your group, and also a typing input task to do. The 2 questions are, list all the persons or groups you could possibly reach out to on climate action and include a few unlikely ones, and talk to the others in your group about these ideas. And secondly, about the first steps in the sort of outreach that you could do. And we'll stop 5 minutes before the end of this final section in our Hui and ask you to type these into chat, so that what we hope is to collect a myriad ideas on outreach, which we'll then collate and put into the minutes of this meeting. We'll have a rich list of outreach possibilities to inspire each other with. Any questions on the process before Marlene breaks us into groups? Actually, can you just take that off so I can see if there is any hands up? Thanks. No hands up, clear enough. Marlene, can you break us into groups? And this bit will run until 8:40.
All right. So yeah, I've made 5 rooms. So you should be a small amount of 4 or 5 people in each group. So yeah, it's the first time for me. So be indulgent if it's not working properly, but normally it should work from now. So yeah. Oh, you're not affected. So I think, does it work? All right. So I will affect you one by one. So sorry. Takes a little bit while. Yeah.
Don't take your time, Marlene.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit at random. So some people are leaving. Are you leaving? No, yeah. Completely at random, even if I choose, but. Yeah. Still a few people. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Done. So we. Oh. Hello, Han. We are only 2. I'll just try to understand what's going on.
Focus group, and you know, like I did not expect that. I am at the moment focusing quite a bit on youth because of our climate change focus group, because I have found over the years doing this type of engagement that youth is very seldom at the table. We all talk about it, but it's never at the table to have those conversations. And I'm kind of set on trying to bring that youth voice into this process. And I'm working closely with Enviro schools here in Wairarapa. We are quite lucky that Great Wellington region has a network of Enviro schools, which is kind of co-funded by regional councils, territorials, in their own foundation. And they work with schools on anything environmental. And we also have Earth School in Wairarapa, which is really amazing. And a couple of coordinators that look after this program, they work really closely with the students and with the younger kids. And we are kind of trying to reach the kids, for kids to reach the adults, not necessarily their parents or grandparents, but kind of involve them in these community-based processes where they can tell their story and influence the conversation that way.
Thank you. Thank you. So Girl Guides, youth, Enviro Schools, Earth School, big focus on youth. And we all really are grateful for that, because we too want to bring youth voices to the fore.
I don't want to be taking over a conversation, but just a brief example. We are organizing Conservation Week, first week of September, and we kind of joined all of the local agencies. We are kind of doing it together so that the local care groups don't need to spend time on, putting the program together or paying for the, printing in the paper, posters, etc., etc. We are actually using Conservation Week to put the climate change message through. So when people come to these events, it's not necessarily the climate change action, it's all about conservation, but there's lots of climate conversation topics, talks, art, exhibition, that it's right across the Wairarapa, because we kind of joined up and doing it all across, 3 different council, different agencies, DOC, Greater Wellington. So we are trying to find all the different channels that may not have a climate change banner over it, but we are putting the climate change message through that way.
I hope you'll put that idea onto chat as well as your youth ideas. That's really valuable. Let me make sure that Gemma and David have a chance. Gemma, you usually have a ton of ideas for this sort of thing.
I will get you to go somewhere else, but yeah, have a nice chat. Yeah.
Okay, you're leaving us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, Patsy.
Okay. Hi, Marlene.
Yeah. Hi. I'm just moving from one group
To another. Okay.
to the other.
I've had one idea now. I'm coming up with one more now, which is to contact NMIT and see what modules or inputs we could make to which courses that they're offering. Maybe some business courses around the carbon footprints of business and industry and so on, and they've got a course where they train dock rangers here, and so there's maybe scope within the environmental field with what they do with dock to add in something on climate change there as well, and biodiversity.
Yeah. Alongside you mentioned multicultural council, there's also the interfaith council. I mean, they will overlap at certain points, but they're also they're another group.
I thought about the libraries. All the libraries give little talks and have little presentations, and maybe we could do a whole series from the climate action book.
That's a great idea.
I'm finally a library member.
Well, another type of networking is, of course, what I've been suggesting already when the forum started, is that we somehow bring scientists who happen to live in the region together into a new force for doing some fundamental scientific analysis, like this carbon footprint calculations I talked about today, because I fear that some of this type of work is considered so expensive by the councils that it's not given the highest priority, and therefore decisions made by the councils, who are of course the ones who somehow deal with land use in our region, the decisions are not always driven by a proper quantitative analysis of the effect of their decisions. So outreach to scientists like that who live in the region, I think would be one thing to do. And of course, that could include some of the NMIT links that Chris mentioned, as well as research organizations like the Cawthron Institute. I've tried a few times during the last 8 years to get them interested, but they are so focused on their aquaculture science, of course. It's logical for them, but it's a pity because they have an amazing scientific resource. And some of the work is certainly linked to climate change, action, mitigation.
Yeah. Maybe parents at schools. They all have kids, and they, some of them might be interested in climate actions to, secure a good future for their children. Other things, construction industry, like engineers and architects. That's through my husband connections, but yeah, they do produce a lot of waste, and it'll be interesting to see more of them interested in reducing emissions.
There's also related to that a little bit further along as real estate agents. Programs like Homestar, where you get the sustainability of your house measured, and should in future help to get a premium for that house for you to sell it.
Yeah.
You have trade unions, and of course you have the professional and business organizations of the people who use land to make money, including agriculture, farming and forestry, etc. And somehow, as somebody wrote in a note I saw yesterday, that why do these farmers drive their tractors into the cities and protest and sort of they don't come forward themselves with proposals for climate change action, and there's a lot they can do.
That's interesting.
Todd, I've been interacting with farmers quite a bit the last few days.
That's true, yes, of course.
They're feeling very overwhelmed at the moment by everything that's hitting them. So
yeah,
it's very difficult to come with one more thing right now.
Well, I mean, but some farmers are not interested to discuss with you, of course, Chris, but there must be some who are actually quite interested in finding positive solutions. And there could be things they haven't thought about yet. Of course, they're not stupid, they're running businesses, but it may be possible to internally within the farmers groups actually get a bit of a driving force in this direction. And it reminds me of the people who are running the Blue Duck station next to the Wanganui River on the North Island. I went there for 3 days last year and visited, and those owners and farmers there are extremely keen on spreading the word about creating new ways of using the land to actually reduce these problems.
What I've seen is it takes a long time to build up a relationship of trust with farmers like that. You can't just come in and start talking about
Mm. Hi. Oh, everybody's there.
Joanna, if you're
Ah.
trying to talk, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Mute me. Thanks. This is the
Okay.
time.
Good.
This is the time to put your ideas onto chat to make sure that we capture every good thing that came up in the discussion, and we will then have a rich assortment of ideas to feed back to you. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop for a few minutes while you get your ideas on the chat.
Okay. Nice. All right.
Anyone, put up your hand if you need more time to type your ideas in.
Oh, I have done it.
Okay. Okay, keep going. Okay, anyone needing more time now? Put up your hand. Okay. I think we can, oh no, there's a few more coming in. Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll just move to the closing comments. Really looking forward to going through that, through what's been produced there and feeding it back to you. So thank you, everyone, for that brainstorm. I want to say a couple of things about hui that are coming up, particularly the August hui. And a strong theme of the August hui will be how we measure our own carbon footprint, how we measure our household carbon footprint. And Lindsay Wood, known to some of you as a prominent climate activist in Nelson, will be leading that. We expect that this is going to be at on the NMIT campus at the Mahi Tahi Collab, and you will be asked to bring some data, household data about fuel use for space heating, for example, about petrol bills in the last month. We'll get to you what we're asking you to bring for this exercise at the August face-to-face hui. Also, just to keep in mind, further upcoming hui, I mentioned the September one is likely to be on climate conversations. And we hope then to follow that up with a look at the sort of things that Julie was referring to earlier in the evening, how it affects us, our inner processes, to be living in a long emergency, to be dealing with the stress of highly demanding activism in an existential crisis. We probably focus strongly on that, possibly in the November hui. But anyway, for now, keep an eye on your household fuel bills, your petrol bills, because we're going to ask you to bring some data with you to the face-to-face hui in August. I want to urge everyone in this hui to look at the website frequently. The website is lovingly kept up to date by our wonderful communications team. Some of whom are here, Anne Wheatley and David Bartle and Anya, and who have I missed out on? The Gemma. Okay, we thank you very much for the communications work you do, and it'll be to all of our benefit to look frequently, at least weekly, to see what's new on the website, because there will be new stuff on the website. I want to remind you to tell Anya of all your outreaches. We really need to know and record them, and Anya loves to weave them into stories too. I think that might do. Oh, just get you to think about shoulder tapping people for being members of the forum. I think that there probably are activists around who would enjoy and benefit from being connected to all the other wonderful people in this organization. And in the last minute or so, I just invite our two guests from Masterton to make any final comments that you might wish. We've been very happy to have you with us tonight and know that you're doing terrific things in your own region. But Councillor Chris Peterson, any words you'd like to say before we close off? And unmute yourself.
Kia ora, Joanna. I thank you very much for just allowing us to sort of observe today and tonight, and a really interesting process, and all strength to you. And I got some interesting ideas about it, out of it. Thank you very much.
We've really enjoyed having you, Chris. And Natasha, do you want to add anything?
I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me. I will share some of our information and some of our latest things with you, Joanna, in an email. I don't want to take up time here, but then you can share that with the rest of the forum. Some of the things that we have done lately might be of interest to you. I'll email you tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you, Natasha. Come again, both of you. And may we turn to Jill for a closing karakia.
Okay, I have chosen to use our Waka Armour Karak here, just because I happen to have it. But also it's all about paddling our own, we're all in the same waka together. So it's about kotahitanga. So it's ko te ha, ko te po, ko tangaroa, ko te mana, ko te kotahitanga o ngā mata waka, homie, huie, taikie.
Thank you, Sati, and thank you, everyone, for hard work tonight. And sleep well, everyone.
You too.
Nice to see you all.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Kia ora.
Ciao.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your message. Right. Okay. I think I have to.
Yeah, I'm trying to leave now.
No, but yeah, okay. I think I will have to close everything. I wanted to go away, but unfortunately I will. All right.